Icelandair recently began their service from Detroit to Keflavik, and this could not have come at a better time. Last year, the wife and I decided we wanted to go to Iceland for our next trip, which was supposed to fall sometime around the spring of 2023. When we started looking for flights, expecting to have to travel to another hub like JFK, we were surprised with direct flights from our home airport straight to our desired location. This was doubly surprising because generally the direct flights to Europe out of Detroit are quite limited compared to other airports, and Iceland is rather obscure considering. The dates we were planning fell right on the inaugural Icelandair flight out of Detroit, and since I'm an airline and av geek, this was an opportunity we could not miss. Unfortunately, we were just a few days shy of booking our flights during their special intro price dates. Nonetheless, we splurged a little for Saga Premium Business Class just to make the occasion that much better and a little more special. Icelandair has added a decent amount of new US routes to their roster in hopes of opening up Iceland to the world, as well as serving their airport as a sort of hopover to over 30 locations in Europe, including Greenland. This is thanks to a few factors, and one of the biggest factors is Icelandair's acquisition of the 737 MAX aircraft. This aircraft type allows for much more efficiency over its older counterpart, which in turn allows airlines to fly farther. The smaller size of the aircraft allows for airlines to travel to more airports, which might have smaller runways. For Icelandair, this means feasible flights to far locations which might not have the passenger demand that would make their bigger aircraft types, the 757s and 767s, which are still flown to other major hubs, necessary. Without the 737 MAX, chances are if you wanted to travel to Iceland, you'd have to travel to one of the few major hubs out of the US, such as JFK, which actually fly to Keflavik. Flights out of Detroit are supposed to depart at 8:30 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, arriving at around 6:30 a.m. local time in Keflavik. The flights coming back from Iceland will be departing at 5 p.m. local time in order to arrive back to Detroit at around 6:30 p.m. local time. We arrived at the airport at around 5 p.m. and we were one of the first people in line at the check-in desk. We were able to see new Icelandair staff in training, and we were the first passengers checked in, and this included a checked bag. Things went relatively smooth and we were off to security in a few minutes. Inaugural flights can be a hit or miss in terms of how much of a big deal is made about them at the gate. There's usually some celebrations with snacks and speeches, but there's also a chance that almost no acknowledgement is given at the gate. We were happy to find the former, as they were setting up for what looked like a nice little commemoration for the first flight out of Detroit. The news was there. During the festivities, the plane swiftly arrived looking quite gorgeous. Some important people spoke.
I work for the Wayne County Airport Authority. Before I start, I really just want to thank our team who spent a lot of time putting this together. They did an amazing job. So if we could just give our team, both the Wayne County Airport Authority team members and Icelandair, a round of applause.
First step of the economic growth of Wayne County. Having Icelandair here, it's a five and a half hour flight to Iceland nonstop. Get to see the northern lights. Before we showed up, boy, we welcome you. Chad and I, the CEO of the airport, we're talking. We're both golfers. We're not as good as golfers as you. We hear you have a great game, 3 handicap, by the way, which is pretty good in golf.
Including the CEO of Icelandair.
I've never been here before. I've been told a lot of good things about Detroit. I'm very excited to explore the area tomorrow and to be able to sell this area to the people in Iceland and Europe. Icelandair is to bring the spirit of Iceland to the world. And as I said, it is a pleasure to introduce a new destination, as we are doing now, and to connect Iceland further to the world.
Saga Premium Business Class tickets usually come with lounge access, but as of filming this, there is no lounge access at DTW. The lounge at Keflavik Airport, however, is open to Saga Premium ticket holders for departures only. This means that when you arrive in Keflavik, you will not be able to use the Saga Premium Lounge. You'll only be able to use the Saga Premium Lounge on your way back. Today's adventures included decent festivities at the gate, so we didn't mind, but hopefully DTW gets a Saga Premium Lounge in the not too distant future, especially if they plan on making these flights a regular thing. And just like that, we were on our way on board, gift bags in hand. There were some pens and keychains in these bags provided by what looks like the airport, and there was also a hat included, which actually came in very handy because I forgot mine at home and it got a little chilly in Iceland at times. The amenity kits provided by Icelandair included a few essentials with nothing too surprising. There was a sleep mask, socks, toothbrush and toothpaste, lip balm, hand cream, and my favorite, face mist. Saga premium seats are sold as business class and are close to domestic first class seats you might see on US legacy airlines. This means generous legroom and some recline, but the seats do not lay flat. This goes for all of Icelandair's Saga premium products. As of filming this, they are all the same types of seats with no lay flat, no matter the aircraft type. Most flights from the US are an average of 6 hours, so the seats were plenty comfortable for us. There is a footrest as well, which added to the comfort. Your mileage may vary depending on how much you can tolerate or how much comfort you might need, but for us, 6 hours is right around the end of the sweet spot, and then eventually when it gets to 7 or 8 hours, we're going to want to seek lie-flat seats. There was some pre-departure champagne for good measure, and in no time we were pushing back for a spectacular sunset takeoff from runway 21 right.
For those of you seated next to the window, you might notice some fire trucks. This is part of the inaugural flight to Keflavik this evening. They will give us a water cannon salute as we taxi out to the runway. Enjoy.
Here it is.
There are also noise-canceling headphones provided, but the left channel on mine did not work. This was not a bother for me as I usually utilize the onboard Wi-Fi in lieu of IFE. I can imagine though if this is a big problem, then they could probably provide you with a new pair. Speaking of the IFE, coming from US legacy carriers such as Delta, I think we're a little spoiled with the selections that are provided to us. Comparatively, Icelandair's selection of movies are not quite as extensive, and that might leave a little more to be desired for some. There are a few decent choices, and in no way will you be bored in this average of 6-hour flight, but if you're anticipating the latest summer blockbuster that is usually still in theaters while you want to see it on a plane, you might not get that here. You also have to watch this ad before you start using the IFE for the first time, and I have not found a way to skip it. At least you only have to watch it once. I ended up paying for the Wi-Fi because I forgot that with Saga Premium, Wi-Fi is supposed to be complimentary for up to 2 devices. I didn't see anything obvious about this upon entering credentials on the app, so I'll contact Icelandair in the near future to see if I could possibly get a refund for the $20 I paid for the Wi-Fi each way. These are also pretty average prices for Wi-Fi, by the way. As for if those prices are reasonable, I'll leave that up to you. Of course, one of the main reasons to visit Iceland is the food. Icelandair allows for your culinary adventures to begin on the flight there. Today's choices were the feta pesto chicken with sun-dried tomatoes and lemon butter sauce, or the beef steak with potato salad, grilled asparagus, and chili béarnaise sauce. We had each of the menu items. The wife went with the first one and I went with the second one. To drink, alongside soft drinks and wine, they had a nice selection of gin and tonic pairings we wanted to try. We started with the orange and pink gin. These went really well with the cheese cracker snacks that tasted kind of like Cheez-Its. On the way back, we tried a couple more gin and tonics, one of them infused with lavender, which made the whole drink purple. The feta pesto chicken was quite good, but I wish the steak was served hot instead of cold. The dessert was quite rich. All in all, I think a decent meal and a nice preamble of a taste of what Iceland is going to be giving us. Was not disappointed. The bathroom is a standard 737 bathroom, which is cramped, and there's only one bathroom in the front. Now that we were wined and dined, we decided to take a little nap just to get a head start on the day when we arrive at Keflavik. Due to the fact that flights from the US arrive early in the morning and hotel check-ins aren't until the afternoon, and adding to the fact that we wouldn't be able to utilize the lounge upon arrival, we were going to need all the rest that we could get on this flight. A couple of hours of shut-eye and the sunset became sunrise. A decent rest, but nothing to write home about. It was about as comfortable as it can get without the seats completely lying flat. A little bit of coffee to get things going, and we're only a couple of hours from the top of descent. Once we arrived, we taxied past the main terminals and were dropped off at a stand instead of a gate. I've never seen anything like this before. Usually in these situations, there are air stairs attached to the plane and you get on a bus. This was a small arrival pod with a jetway that took you to your bus at the bottom of the stairs. After that, we were swiftly bussed to the main terminal, a quick stop at customs, and of course a little bit of alcohol from the duty-free shop. By the way, the duty-free shop for arriving passengers is located downstairs near the baggage claim area. The first few that you're going to run into upstairs right when you get into the airport are for departures only. Some of them have a sign, others don't, so just keep in mind that the one you're going to be looking for is going to be literally right next to where you claim your bags. Now for an unforgettable time in the land of fire and ice. The flight back from Iceland is, of course, just as important as the flight there. I'll add some highlights from the return flight. First, as mentioned before, we were able to use the Saga Premium Lounge on the day of our return flight. The food and drink were quite nice, but the highlight was the shower. There's nothing like a pre-flight shower. This time on the flight, there were a few more treats given out, namely macaroons and chocolates. These were delicious, but not as delicious as the dessert with the meal, which was to die for. It was a heavenly lemon, mango, orangey type dessert with an amazing texture, which I wish I could get every day. I had the lamb, which was on par with the top 5 best lamb I've ever had, and the wife had the salmon, which she actually thought was good, despite not being much of a seafood person. In a perfect ending for this AV Geek, I got to check out the flight deck and have a little chat with the pilots on the way out. I got to ask them some burning technical questions, and they were very nice and happy to answer. So there you have it, our first inaugural flight in the books, and a great one to begin with. Given the price we paid for these tickets and what was included, I think we got our money's worth. There are a few kinks I think Icelandair will be able to improve in the future, such as consistent lounge access, and I hope to see this product become more and more popular. All in all, I think given the chance, we would do this again.